Hey guys, this evening I had the honor of preaching a message entitled, Revival is My Revenge. And toward the end of that message, when I had already preached over an hour, I had an issue with my notes. I got them on my laptop, and it entirely jumped to an entirely different part of my sermon toward the very beginning. And because I am young and still new in ministry and was insecure because I had already preached over an hour, I believe I ended up missing what God had for that moment, because about an hour, 2 hours later, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, and I kind of searched and prayed for what it was that I was supposed to go back to in that moment, and I opened my laptop and it was about here. See, I had just said, it's time to drop the stones and pick up the ephod. And then it jumped to what I believe was meant to be this point. What you settle with will bind a generation, and you will answer for it. What you settle with will bind a generation, and you'll answer for it. Catastrophes can bring out the best or the worst. They got stones, David got the ephod. There's still meant to be a fight, that's true, but it's not meant to be with stones. You've got to take the fight away from the brethren and out of the flesh, and realize we're not fighting people but principalities and powers in the unseen places. It's time to get back into the right fight. And not only that, it's time to teach the devil we're too expensive to mess with. Because if you begin to make the devil pay it back, the devil begins to understand that you're too expensive to mess with there. So he's going to have to try to find a different route, because what he's been doing ain't working. If every time he hits you, you get discouraged, you want to quit, and you're down, you're trying, and the devil keeps hitting you in that same area, it's time to understand we need to go back onto the Word of God. We need to speak the Word of God over that circumstance in that situation. It's time to call out to the Lord, restore. And it is time to stop allowing the enemy to keep having his way. Because we are not called to be spiritually wounded, but spiritual warriors. Greater is he that is living in me than he that is living in the world. And there are times you just have to say, hey, devil. No. You don't write my story, but my Lord wrote yours. I am bought by the blood of the Lamb and covered in his righteousness. You can't have my joy. You can't have my peace. You can't have my promises. I'm standing on the rock of ages. I'm standing on everlasting to everlasting. And you come at me with a piece of the Word of God, but I'm going to walk in the fullness of what God has for me. It's time to say, restore. It's time to say, restore. And stop surrendering to the devil. It's time to grab the ephod. It's time to grab that garment, the priestly garment, and get ready to get in touch with the Lord. Because you don't need to throw stones at people. You need to throw promises at the devil in his face, proclaiming the Word of God, walking in the authority of the Word of God, and to cry out, restore in fullness to the measure of the will of God. Let it be so.